and maybe just invite Marcuzo towards him, kind of lure him in like a little bit of a trap and then explode on the counterattack.
I'm expecting this to be a little more faster moving. Marcuzo rates himself to be able to beat anybody if it's going to become an end-to-end type of match. And I think Chris kind of feels the same way. So we're not going to see necessarily a Rafsu versus Chris possession battle versus counterattack battle. I think that we're going to see a lot more even back and forth. It's going to be about taking those opportunities and creating those chances.
I'm thinking of those squad rules as well. You know, we saw NYC Chris he put all of his picks up front. He used Team of the Year Neymar, he used R9, he used Team of the Year Mbappe. In defense, he's got Davinson Sanchez and he's got Aurier. And I think Marcuzo actually has Aurier at right back as well. So it could be the battle of the Auriers here.
We have Sanchez and Van Dijk.
It's Van Dijk, isn't it, at right back for Chris? Excuse me, yes, correct.
And then for Marcuzo, and I didn't like it in that last matchup versus Lev. I thought he got abused. Aurier did not match up well on the wings. And what Chris has done, and we talked about this earlier, he's played the most competitive matches this year of any FIFA competitor. And he's basically taken the front six of guys that he's used all year long.
Here we go then. Both of these players now fighting for a chance to be in the first ever eChampions League final. The semi-finals are about to get underway here in Madrid.
Thank you. Enjoy the game.
There's a buzz in the air here. And there's sure to be some excitement to go alongside it. We're underway. It's NYC Chris taking on Marcuzo.
It's worth mentioning each of these players have now secured $30,000. But they could double that. Every single game, you could double that.
Incredible opportunities here for all of these players involved. It's going to be Marcuzo now with Serge Aurier showing that he can do some attacking work. Flying down that right-hand side, inside now to Ronaldo, and this is where he's dangerous. This is where Chris really needs to concentrate, and that's a fantastic tackle there from Kylian Mbappe. Gullit wins that header. And now you're going to see Chris trying to exploit these wide areas.
And Chris would love some wing play. It's just a matter of if his opponents are going to allow him to cross, allow him to get down those wings. Chris feels very comfortable in terms of some of his creation through the wing play, whether it's the flick-up crosses or just skill moves that open up those angles.
Well, here comes Chris then. A little bit more of an attack focus through that central area of the midfield. Mbappe now, a little bit of space in front of him. Space here for Neymar, and you can see what he was trying there, looking for that run of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Took a second too long. He had it, but he looked once, looked twice, made the pass. It needed to be a little more instinctive.
Marcuzo then on the attack. You can see all these players flooding forward, but again, fantastic defensive positioning there from Chris.
And you're seeing Chris being aggressive on the defensive end, which is something relatively different compared to Lev. Lev would sit back and then look to make those, well, he'd pressure initially, then sit back, and then try to counter from there when he's playing against Marcuzo. Chris, we're going to see a lot more pressure play, at least early on. Try to set the tempo.
Here's Ronaldo then on that right-hand side. Vieira comes across and deals with him, and he almost pinches the ball back there.
Just playing devil's advocate here, but you do wonder, Chris had to sit for a little while now. Marcuzo's coming straight off the sticks. Is Marcuzo maybe a little more fresh?
We're going to have to see in his gameplay if that's true. Look at the space here for Neymar, though. Van Dijk's going to have to come across. The accelerated fake shot just showed enough of the ball to the Dutchman there. And Chris, having left that space in behind, he makes amends and makes a fantastic tackle.
First touch was slightly too heavy, and it also took the La Croqueta off the table for him. His go-to, his bread and butter, his biscuits and gravy.
Well, here's Ronaldo then, looking to link some things together himself. Ruud Gullit with a fantastic tackle there from Chris. He was looking for that La Croqueta there. Ronaldo now tries to play it forward, and we are seeing again Chris trying to utilize that aerial game. Get the ball up into the air, use the height and the jumping ability of Cristiano Ronaldo. Speaking of which, it's Marcuzo with Cristiano Ronaldo there, and you can almost see this game at the moment. Those final passes, Mike, just aren't being found.
And Van Dijk just crowds you out. When you see him coming, you just can't get by him.
Here comes NYC Chris then. Ronaldo finds R9, a little bit of a lax pass again, and Serge Aurier will win the ball back. He's been pretty effective on the ground, you have to say, defensively. Aurier, it's just that little caveat of doubt that you have when you see that ball maybe being crossed in.
You don't trust him in the 50-50s, and some of his general positioning, it just doesn't seem as reliable.
Well, here's R9 then. Patrick Vieira's the man making a run through the middle. And his positioning was good there, so Sergio, it had to be, because there was absolutely acres of space in behind. Neymar now into Ronaldo. Referee plays the advantage. It's a fantastic advantage. And Ronaldo couldn't make the most of the opportunity, but that's the first real shot on goal we've seen. Well, it initially wins the ball back. Ronaldo, I have to say, maybe uncharacteristically winning the ball back. Marcuzo now, this is where he's dangerous. There's 3, there's 4. Well watched by Chris there. He didn't dive into that tackle. So vital, but now a corner for Marcuzo. There's 3 again, and Chris is reading this well, backing off and then timing it at just the right second.
And he forced the goal kick, and that's what we were talking about earlier. The best way to defend the La Croquette is if we can bait it to come out a little bit early.
And Marcuzo wins the ball back here. Ronaldo into Mbappe, fake shot around the corner. There's a Croqueta, there's a drag back, ball falls to CR7. Oh, the vision from Marcuzo! But it is offside, I believe. He spotted the run.
Still got to say, wonderful composure to make that extra pass.
I was going to say that the vision was absolutely superb. Unfortunately for him, the linesman's flag was raised. But Marcuzo again showing he's more than just that La Croqueta.
Iniesta and Xavi would have been proud.
Here's Varane then winning the ball back, and there's space in behind here. Davinson Sanchez desperately trying to get back to R9. Ronaldo inside the box. Van Dijk does what he can, but it's not enough, and that one will count.
And you see Sanchez getting taken advantage of there. Gets in behind, has to take a gamble, able to get the ball back into the inside. Bit of an odd angle here, but it's a green time finish. And anytime Ronaldo's inside the box, you know what's coming up soon, or you know what's coming next.
He's absolutely deadly. And it's Marcuzo who strikes first in this semi-final.
Goal for the visitors.
And there's maybe the difference between that team of the knockout stage, Cristiano Ronaldo, and that team of the year, Ronaldo. You know if it falls on the right foot, that team of the year, he's going to be hitting the target. But Chris, from the restart now, he's got Cristiano Ronaldo on the ball himself, puts it towards the back post, and Ramos has to get up.
And that's vintage Chris right there. Lobbing it to the back post, let him go get it. The problem is, even though that meta is so effective, everyone's been countering it using center backs as fullbacks, that it doesn't have the same levels of efficiency that it once did early on in the season.
And that's the thing about FIFA 19, the constantly evolving meta games. Pros recognizing weaknesses, finding ways to address it. Vieira, the great tackle from him. And that's going to set Marcuzo away here just before half-time in the first leg of this semi-final, Madrid. Smart play, just making sure he has that last attack, Mike.
And I expected this game to be more open, actually, than it's been. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's cagey, but we haven't seen some of that tiki-taka or just that fast movement, that direct play that I'm used to seeing with both of these guys going forward.
And maybe that's a case of the occasion. Knowing that if you lose this, quite simply you're out of the tournament. And getting so close has got to hurt even more than going out in those first rounds. David De Gea will get off his line pretty comfortably there to clear the danger away. And maybe there is one more chance here for Chris, but he sends it forward. He sends it long. And there is the referee's whistle, the end of the first leg. It's Marcuzo with the 1-goal advantage.
I'm not really sure this rhythm plays into either player's preference. It's a little slower than I expected, a lot more side-to-side passing. But we are looking at a lot of money on the line. Players trying to figure it out in terms of matchups. Marcuzo obviously is up a goal.
I'm going to ask, do you think that maybe is the occasion starting to take over? A little bit of those mind games for the players. Don't want to take those risks.
Chris still needs to have more traps. Needs to force Marcuzo to take some more gambles, some more risk. Seems that his build-up is just too easy, especially coming out of the back.
What would you suggest?
A little more pressure, higher pressure.
You were the man stood behind Chris right now. A little more pressure?
If I'm Will, who's over there coaching Chris, I'm telling Chris, hey, don't be scared to add some traps and then drop off. At least go for maybe an early takeaway. We've seen Marcuzo give away some presents. Marcuzo likes a holiday.
I'm sure he would like a place in the grand final here at the eChampions League. Even more than that. Havertz on the pitch again here for Marcuzo. We've seen what an impact he's had in a lot of games today. Good tackle again from Chris, and he seems to be one of the best players I've seen so far at defending that La Croqueta.
Chris has done his research. It's still early, but up to this point, he's taken the La Croqueta off the table in terms of the effectiveness that we're usually seeing from Marcuzo.
Just the one goal between the two players. So much time left in this game, in this semi-final. All played out wide there. I think he was looking for the little flick up maybe for that first time volley, but Ronaldo will recycle this. Aurier's trying to stay tight. Neymar in towards the back post. Mbappe's there! And that is Chris doing what Chris does again. 1-1 now. And this is all set up so beautifully.
Chris is so clever with finding different ways to kind of maneuver these crosses to the back post. Wonderful finish from Mbappe. Can't do anything about it. It's 1-1. Changes the momentum a bit. You could say that Will's halftime talk worked. And we've seen Chris battle back on multiple occasions already at this event.
We have, and it's something he's really added to his game. I think a little bit of steel. Maybe was missing earlier in the season. Now Chris wins it back for the restart as well. Always great to show that focus, show you're switched on. Having just created that chance and not even created it. Put it away as well. 1-1 then. And Chris is in behind again, but unfortunately, maybe just holding down that dummy button a little bit too long and let the ball run, but he gets the ball back once more. And Marcuzo really hasn't turned up so far at the start of this second half of the first leg. R9 now. Space for Vieira. Lots of space here for Neymar. Sergio Aurier saw that coming, though. Well defended by Marcuzo, and now maybe there's a counter-attack for Marcuzo.
That was a bit more of the traditional flow. You saw his attack start to speed up a little bit. And maybe it's a tactic from Chris where he's trying to take some of Marcuzo's counter-attacking capabilities out of the game, where he's having the slower build-up and then tries to speed it up when he gets closer to the final third, or even whipping in crosses. Chris is pretty content doing that. He knows he does it better than the majority of professional players in terms of being able to find them with levels of efficiency and just accuracy of hitting that back post.
It's going to be up to Marcuzo to find a way to counter what Chris is bringing to the table so far in this semi-final. Just past the hour mark. 30 minutes left in the first leg. So much time left to decide who will be our first ever grand finalist of the eChampions League. And Marcuzo, he wants to go into that second leg with a goal advantage, but again, Chris is defending this absolutely superbly so far.
We keep saying that, but that means Chris needs to extend that lead. Because once Marcuzo gets going, he can make up 2 or 3 goals relatively quickly.
Ramos then. R9, maybe a chance here for Neymar. Takes it first time! And David De Gea had to use every single inch of his frame to turn that behind for a corner. Van Dijk's free, and Van Dijk buries the header! When that ball is in the air, NYC Chris knows how to finish those chances.
Hits him with a quick corner kick. Marcuzo doesn't move the goalkeeper quick enough, doesn't get a body in front of him. Green, time, finish, hits the back of the net. We've seen that goal on repeat. It's time for Havertz to make a difference.
On the pitch.
Needs to wake him up. He's been napping.
We've also seen Marco Reus being introduced on that left-hand side as well. 98 rated team of the season, Marco Reus. What a phenomenal foot item that is. And it's not someone we've seen a lot of so far today. We've seen a lot of Havertz. We've seen Eusebio coming in off the bench. Heung-Min Son.
Hazard
as well. And can Marco Reus be the one to make the difference? But a towering header there from Virgil van Dijk. Timed it green. Found that top left-hand corner. And NYC Chris is rolling here in Madrid.
Number 3, Virgil van Dijk.
And we haven't seen Marcuzo's attack disrupted like this, where he just can't get into a flow. Even at the Manchester event, whether he was having good or bad results, because he did have some ups and downs, it was never an attacking issue. It was more so about him conceding goals.
You have to say it's been Chris's player switching and defensive positioning, which has been so good, and it's so difficult against a player like Marcuzo to pull that off as well, Mike, because he has so many tricks up his sleeve. And here comes Marcuzo. Ruud Gullit now. Maybe that run of Havertz is going to be utilised here by Marcuzo as he steps forward for Ruud Gullit. again, NYC Chris, the timing of his standing tackles has been absolutely exemplary so far.
And also when he steps and when he sits back. How to play aggressive and how to play passive. At least in the second half of the first leg, it's been perfect. And we talked about that at halftime, that he needed to change maybe his defensive pace a little bit, that he was giving Marcuzo too much time on the ball. Well, he's made that adjustment.
Well, here's R9 then. Heel to heel after the scoop turn, turns back inside, almost squeezed that ball through the gap. So the on-way in striker, and that would have been a big chance, but now look at the space in behind. Marco Reus, the player we were talking about, spreads it wide to his fellow German. Havertz on that left foot, Cricketta one, chance to strike it, and again, Chris with the tackle just at the right time.
Oh, lots of space to work with. Can he find him?
He has found him. Cristiano Ronaldo after the defensive work, and Virgil van Dijk just appeared like a jack in the box to make that tackle.
Van Dijk is everywhere. You don't want to see him, man, coming at you.
And all of a sudden, this game is going end to end. 8 minutes left. Havertz again inside the box, turns back. Corner here for Marcuzo. Royce leaves Mbappe. Goes past two. Van Dijk again. Utilised perfectly by NYC Chris.
Chris has neutralized the La Croqueta completely. Baits in and sits back, baits in and sits back. He's just done a wonderful job. He's not giving Marcuzo the angles. The La Croqueta is all about the angles and creating those for passing, for shooting, even additional skill moves, and Chris is just not allowing him to get unique angles to make those combinations.
And this is where adaptation is going to be important for Marcuzo. We know, of course, he has more tricks in the arsenal, but when your main weapon, your main focus of your attack, that is nullified, it has to raise some questions here. Havertz back onto that left side. Can go either side, of course. He's got a 5-star weak foot. Neymar gets dispossessed here. Pressure from Marcuzo. And again, Chris, the timing is as consistent as the Japanese bullet train at the moment.
Still only a 1-goal spread, though. Chris, if he can get something late, that'll put a lot of pressure on Marcuzo. And it does come down to focus, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here. But is Chris going to be able to keep this level of focus heading into the second leg?
Well, the important thing is here, Van Dijk's had to come across to deal with Ronaldo, and he does so. If Chris manages to get round the outside of Van Dijk there, the player who is dominant aerially, defensively, there for Marcuzo, there might have been another opportunity, but at the break, it's 2-1 to NYC Chris, and Marcuzo, well, he's got some questions to answer, Mike.
And you got to say that pace benefited Chris, especially in the second half. I was so impressed by his defensive work, and then he's looking for those crosses. He scored a corner kick. Everything's in the air, and you're not going to beat Chris if you want to do an air battle situation. That's not going to work well, and Marcuzo doesn't really cross. Even when he gets out to the wing, you don't see him whipping in crosses. You don't see him aiming for that back post.
And we're going to see the replays and the goals that we saw from the first leg of that semi-final, but to me, it's not even the story of goals here. It's the story of how to completely and utterly negate that La Croqueta. The timing, the way he's backing off and then going into the tackle, Mike. How difficult is that to judge every single time?
Extremely difficult, especially when you're looking at a player that has the certain level of caliber, experience, and just innovativeness with how he uses skill moves. And we're not talking about that. Even Marcuzo's opening goal, no skills, very simple play, classic intangibles.
That was the goal that has given NYC Chris the lead as we head towards our second leg. He's set up beautifully. Just one goal between the two players. But just for now, before we get into that second leg, there's a very special man who's waiting alongside Spencer and Rachel right now. Let's go and join them.
Yeah, thanks, boys. We have Ruud Gullit joining us here, an icon in the game and back in the day as well when he was playing. Firstly, Ruud, I just want to get into the timing that you arrived at when Zizinho, your player, went through to the semi-finals. How did that feel to watch one of your own?
I was very exciting, of course. Then we get the message that the game had to be replayed, of the last part of it. So it was very excited. I was not happy, of course, because I was already happy about the fact that he reached the semi-final. But nevertheless, despite the waiting we had to do, both players, he came out with a victory again. And I said, now you know how good you are.
Indeed, and he was using you as well, like most of the players are doing. And we're actually going to get your FUT item up on the screen right now. And a question I was just asking you off camera was that everyone uses the La Croqueta in the game this year in FIFA 19. But did you use that, or what was your skill move of choice?
No, I was skillful in with pace.
Okay.
So I was not so, you know, when you're standing still. So I was running, and then I had scissor, I had all kinds of moves. And I say it to a lot of people, a lot of the kids, when I do training sessions with them. I said, what is your biggest trick? And they come all with all these tricks in the neck and the thing and everything. I said, okay, I'm going to show you my trick. So I just smash it in the goal. If you do that 20 times a year, you're going to make a lot of money, by the way.
Good trick.
And you're going to win a lot of trophies. And then they look at me and they say, yeah, maybe you're right. That's what Ronaldo does.
Absolutely.
You know, and of course you need to have your own trick. But most of the time, the bigger players, maybe they have 2 tricks. There are exceptions. They have more. But most of them, they have 2 tricks where they do. They can do all the things with it.
Yeah.
Because it's not about the trick, it's about the simplicity you play. The more simple you play, the better the team plays. Of course, if you are there for yourself, then it can withhold the speed of the game and also the result. So therefore, if you play quicker and things like that, you could see it also with this game as well. If you pass very quick, all of a sudden that is more confusing for the opposition, and then you score goals.
Most effective way. These are some of your best stats in the game. You can see on the screen there. Obviously, close to 99 on a lot of stats. But what I wanted to ask you is this man on the screen. We were talking about who your favourite icons were from your sort of favourite footballers.
In my time, of course, Pelé, but I've never seen him play.
Yeah.
I only know it from old films and things like that. In my days, it was Maradona.
Yeah.
Maradona was the most skillful player.
Both
he was
icons
not
in the
very
game.
big.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
And in this game, you need a little bit of height as well.
And that's one of the reasons you're so popular, obviously. 6'3", also with a 5-star weak foot. Pele's got that 5-star weak foot.
Yes.
And he's got some fantastic stats, as you can see. But crucially, as you pointed out, not being the biggest means that usually he's assigned to substitute duty at best, which is pretty crazy to have Pele on the bench.
It is pretty crazy because he was a good header also of the ball.
Yeah.
And so therefore, but the thing is, I think my advantage on Pelé was that I think he was the best player ever. Of course, I cannot compare with him. But I could play more positions. I was a centre half. I played in midfield. I played as a right winger. I played as a striker. And for that reason, because of that, I could imagine myself what it would be as a defender to play as a striker.
Yeah.
So I was anticipating all the time on these kind of things, and that made me what I was.
A team of Gullits could be a great option to have, 11 of them. I don't know if you know, actually, one thing we've seen a lot in the previous tournaments is people using your item at left back. And that is actually because you come up against Cristiano Ronaldo, who often plays on the right, and you can win headers against him.
Okay,
so that's quite an
I
effective
understand.
use.
Cristiano Ronaldo is a fantastic player. And if he becomes an icon, you know, after his career, you know, I think a lot of people will use him.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know that nowadays players, they really worried about what their valuation is in the game because they all play it. My son asks me all the time, really, Papa, can you arrange to have you, please?
And can you sort that out for him?
Yeah.
No, you can't. You have to earn it.
You
I agree.
do indeed, and you're an expensive player, my man.
You have to earn it.
Anyway, loads of people love having you on their squads. So here are some of the players talking about why you are such an excellent player to have in their teams.
My most important icon pick is Ruud Gullit.
It's Ruud Gullit. He's the complete midfielder, can attack, he can defend as well.
Can do everything.
He can play every position.
Literally every attack in the game, with a few exceptions, go through him.
He's so strong. Not only is he strong, but that hair looks really nice on the field, on the game.
Gullit.
Absolutely incredible to hear from Ruud Gullit there, and I had a little bit of a moment where I had to take a breath because the mention of 11. Imagine going into Weekend League and coming up against 11 Ruud Gullits. You'd be like, I'm out.
Well, if I had the 11 on my side, I'd be very happy about that. Is there a petition I can sign to get 11 Ruud Gullits?
I tell you what, I think it's fair on anyone, to be honest, if we do that. But.
And he's right. He was this combination. When I think of Ruud Gullit, he's nimble, but he's still like a freight train. I would hate to stand in front of him. He's just explosive.
Well, let's talk about the game that we have still going on at the moment. And Ruud Gullit, of course, heavily involved as a prime icon moments in these two players' teams. NYC Chris, though. I mean, what a story this would be right now if he finds his way into the grand final. Marcuzo's got it all to do. He's down by 1 goal at the moment, but what impressed you so much about Marcuzo in that first leg? Yes, he's down by 1. What's going to change up maybe a little bit going into this second leg?
There's no way we see the same pace. we're not going to see the first leg. I don't think the first leg is going to resemble the second leg. I'm not talking about goals, results, score lines, anything along those lines, but just the rhythm, the play, the flow. There's no way that Marcuzo can sit back like that. He's got to start taking some chances. He's got to increase the pace. He needs more offensive opportunities.
I think the crazy thing is as well is how many times can Chris absolutely nail that standing tackle? Because that's the question. Because he only has to get it wrong once. And all of a sudden, all of those areas, those attacking areas on the pitch open up. Do you think that's on his mind? Do you think that's on Marcuzo's mind as well? He's like, yes, it hasn't worked so far, but this is what's got me this far. I need to continue doing what I do best.
You've got to think at some point he's going to beat Chris with a La Croqueta. So if I'm Chris, you got to make sure you play your game and you extend your lead. This will not finish 2-1. That's a promise that I hope I can keep, but it's a promise that I'm making right now.
We'll have to see if that promise is just that, as we're now into the second leg of our first semi-final. A reminder, a spot in the first ever eChampions League Grand Final up for place for one of these players. NYC Chris with that 1-goal advantage after the first leg. He's the man with possession here. Again, slow build-up play, but just as I say that, it's a little bit antsy and gives the ball away. Here's Aurier then for Marcuzo. There is space inside here for Gullit. Has plenty of men in front of him. Neymar inside the box, and that time he tried to take this shot early, Mike. Do you think that's a case of maybe that's starting to play out his mind a little bit?
I just think he wants to mix up his gameplay. He's got to keep Chris guessing because he used, I don't want to say forced La Croquetas, but so many that Chris was able to stay put, able to bait him.
Well, here's Van Dijk then. Not used to seeing him at that end of the pitch, and now he's going to be out of position at the other end. A chance for NYC Chris to counter-attack, and a lovely little body feint. It's going to create space here for Kylian Mbappe to attack. Tries to drive around the outside of his fellow Frenchman there. Gets the ball into the air, and he's again looking for that cross into the back post. He gets a little bit lucky to win it back. Ruud Gullit takes the strike. And De Gea turns it behind for a corner.
And you got to say, every time that Chris goes forward, you think there's a possibility of an opportunity being created, a goal being scored, at least a cross being whipped in the dangerous positions on the pitch.
Well, Chris takes a shot from distance here, and it just drifts high over the top of the bar. But it was green, and we've seen shots from that distance cause the goalkeeper some problems.
He's teasing him, he's testing him, giving you some variety going forward.
There's Marcuzo trying something a little bit different, trying to go a little bit more direct, and that's just left space in behind here for Cristiano Ronaldo, looking for that El Tornado. Well defended there. Oh, that 90 rated UCL road to final Serge Aurier. Questions asked about him in the air, but you have to say on the floor, he's been all right so far in this game.
And I'm surprised, even with Marcuzo's build-up, I'm not used to seeing so many switches of the pitch.
Well, speaking of Cristiano Ronaldo, he's found his way in behind. What a ball that is! Massive chance there for Chris, and you hear a little groan of disappointment because that was a real chance there to go up 3-1.
What an incredible pick out. That's not a back post cross there. He manually grabs him with that cross, takes it down. Unfortunately, not a green time finish, not in the corner, but it just shows you that he has more in his locker than just lobbing it to the back post. And he's kind of on his game. You have to have a certain level of confidence in order to pick out a pass like that.
And sometimes it's a case of maybe planting the seed. Because you think Marcuzo's thinking back post, back post, back post. And that's when you change it up.
Exactly. I can't agree more. It's very similar to when you saw earlier in this game, Marcuzo took a shot, not from distance, but maybe out of the ordinary shot from Marcuzo. He's just trying to tell him, hey, I will shoot. It's not always going to be a skill move.
And I see Chris looking for a driven pass out wide there to try and use Neymar. Marcuzo wins it back. Only that one chance so far in this game, and it fell to NYC Chris. It's a slender lead at the moment in this game, but it is a lead. As Marcuzo now steps forward, Ramos into Vieira, just waiting for the movement of the defenders. Here's one Croqueta, two, and again, NYC Chris. We talk about Marcuzo being the master of the Croqueta. Well, he might have just found his kryptonite.
This is a tutorial how to stop the La Croqueta, this entire matchup. First leg, second leg, at least up to this point. We do have the danger of the curse. The danger of the curse.
That we have to put into play so far in this game. He's kept him at bay. Here's Cristiano Ronaldo. Davinson Sanchez is the man trying to get across. Ball across goal. Vieira, fantastic positioning from the Frenchman there to snuff out the danger.
Very smart situational defending. He didn't take a risk because he knew he had Sanchez versus Ronaldo. Sanchez probably being Chris's weakest link, not just on the defensive end, just in general on his squad. So he just tried to buy time to get more players involved, to make it harder for Marcuzo to get in behind. And we haven't seen that free-flowing form from Marcuzo. Not in this matchup against Chris.
Here's Marcuzo then. He only needs one opportunity, and that completely changes the context of the game. Here's Ronaldo. Oh, a little bit of a lucky break from here. Gullit's got it back onto his right foot, and Davinson Sanchez is showing us exactly why NYC Chris picked him up in that draw process. Neymar turning defense into attack now. Ronaldo into Neymar, tried to find the ball back. And Marcuzo this time showing some defensive ability. Marcuzo then tries to squeeze the ball down the line. Few moments now till half-time. And the question I have for you, Mike, is when do the changes come in for Marcuzo here?
60th minute, if it stays like this. I mean, Marcuzo's been on the ball. He just hasn't been able to do anything with it.
Well, here's Chris building up slowly again, being very intentional with every single one of these passes. Takes the shot from distance. Lack of goalkeeper movement there from Marcuzo. Maybe that's something that Chris will pick up on next time.
And we've complimented Chris's defending, but we should also talk about Marcuzo's defending. It's been good. Chris has had a lot of half chances, but not many full-fledged, wide open. He should convert that type of opportunities.
But again, Chris, the percentage of tackles won that he has won is absolutely phenomenal. And he has the last attack here as we head in towards the break of the second leg. He's up by 1. He's looking to extend that lead. Mbappe, Gullit doesn't get the result he was looking for. R9 then into Mbappe, gets it back onto his left. Vieira steps across. And the one thing you don't want to see in those situations is that red timing. Big chance for Chris at the end of the half. Will he go to regret that as we move on?
Same thing when you're driving. You don't want the stoplight. You don't want to see red. That means you have to wait for everybody. If you see that in any FIFA match, any sequence, any circumstance, you are not going to score a goal. You could be sitting 2-3 feet out. If you read it, it's going wide or it's going over the bar.
I'm so intrigued to see the changes that are going to be coming in and when they happen as well. Just a reminder, icons have to be substituted for icons. You have to have 3 icons on the pitch. You have to have 3 Champions League players on the pitch as well at all times. That kind of limits your options a little bit.
And the reason that's so important is because it adds a new element into this tournament where you have to figure out the best squad that fits your play style, that's most suitable for you, and also get you full chemistry. Because with only 3 icons, now it becomes a little more mix and match.
And that's why we're seeing that German league being utilized, those new Team of the Season Bundesliga's players, Da Costa, Havertz, you've got Goretzka in a lot of squads. Chemistry absolutely vital for these players, and maybe an element of the game they're not completely used to with the teams they have been useful, but one thing that Chris isn't too used to at the moment is giving the ball away like that, and that's going to be Marcuzo with the ball almost immediately after Chris had the kickoff. Marcuzo managed to get in behind here. Neymar can't get around Sanchez. Will be a corner here. Taken short once again. Neymar tries to get the ball up in the air, and Chris again, it doesn't matter who he's got on the ball, who he's defending with. That time it was Cristiano Ronaldo, and it's just the same result.
He's been so precise at every given opportunity. When there's a 50-50, it's not a 50-50, at least it doesn't seem that way with Chris in terms of how he's stepping. Like I said, when he's sitting back, his midfield coverage with cutting down some of the easy passes.
Well, outside here to Havertz. Sorry to cut you off, Mike, because there might be a chance here for Marcuzo to find an equalizer. Neymar, step over, heel to heel, and again, it's Virgil van Dijk, who has almost played like 2 centre-backs in this game.
And Marcuzo almost always looks to walk it in, so to speak, to get very close to the goal in order to take that shot. He needs to mix in, whether it's crosses, long shots. He's got to have some different looks, so to speak, going forward, because what's going on right now is just not working. Chris has done such a good job sitting back and really waiting for that final skill, that final touch, that final pass.
There's a chance there for Chris as well. He didn't get the time in again on that shot, but now he can burst away. Patrick Vieira, though, comes back in. No nonsense clearance from the Frenchman. The referee is going to pull it back here. Linesman's flag does go up. And you're looking at the moment at those stats in the top left-hand side of your screen. Marcuzo's only had one shot on target so far. And as we approach the hour mark, he's only got 30 minutes left to change this around. Here's Chris. Again, Virgil van Dijk steps in to win it back. And this is where Marcuzo really needs to start stepping it up here, Mike.
He's got space to work with. A little too predictable from Chris, too, on a couple of these crosses. But when his defending's been this consistent, you really can't knock the guy with anything he's been able to do. Best scouting report we've seen versus Marcuzo of the season.
Well, here comes NYC Chris. Vieira striding forward, maybe just waiting for that run outside. Here's our 9! It's 3! It's a 2-goal advantage! And he's got 1 foot in the grand final.
And you want to talk about timing. The way that he sets that up, and another cross from Chris. We talk about it. You're not going to beat him out crossing him, or you're not going to beat him by out crossing him. But the timing is so crucial. We talk about what's so important with FIFA and the rhythm, the flow, the timing. When you step, when you sit back, how your players support runs. That's just lovely. It's beautiful.
And now we are seeing a change in formation. Marcuzo needs 2 goals to send this to extra time. All the pressure in the world falling onto the shoulders of the man on your screen right now. I think we might have seen a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow maybe in the back pocket there for Marcuzo, a real attacking option for him to go forward.
I reckon that's a dangerous switch. I've talked to Chris many times, and his favorite formation to play against is actually the 4-1-2-1-2 because he likes those wing outlets. We'll see if Marcuzo is able to create enough pressure, though. He has to change what's been happening.
He has to change something. He's had 1 shot of note in this game. And when you're down by 2 goals, quite simply, it ain't working.
And we're used to seeing tiki-taka play from Marcuzo before he gets to the box, and that just hasn't been there. Not in leg 1, definitely not in leg 2.
Havertz on the ball then for Marcuzo. Needs to score. To just swing the momentum maybe back in his favour momentarily. Ronaldo gets round the corner! David De Gea. That is a phenomenal save. Neymar, maybe another chance here. 1, 2, he's done it! You had to wonder how long Chris could sustain his defensive style. 1 mistake is all it took. Now it's a 1-goal game.
And you have to ask, why did it take so long for you to make the switch? Instantly, Marcuzo's moving the ball quicker. You see the pressure play, the double teams, and he's putting you under some pressure with the La Croqueta. It's not looking as stale. It's not looking as stiff. His movement as a collective, back to being himself.
Are we in for a finish in this game? All of a sudden, Marcuzo's turned up in this second leg here. 1 goal the difference. NYC Chris still on top. A goal here for him would just reset everything. Van Dijk gets across from Marcuzo, and here comes the Dane once more. Vieira inviting Ramos forward. Havertz gets the ball into Ronaldo. Ramos inside the box. Danger here for Chris, and Mbappe, of all players, is the man making the defensive plays.
And I'll tell you what, it's difficult for Chris to switch gears now because Marcuzo's bringing all this new pressure. We haven't seen this at any point in the first leg or the second leg, and it's just a different pace. And that's why we always talk about changing formations and adjusting tactics. And you could tell that Chris is trying to pick up the speed, so to speak.
And Chris is playing this absolutely beautifully at the moment. He was inviting the pressure, playing it around, just couldn't find that final ball in, and Ronaldo's going to win that header. Marcuzo, oh, it's a lax pass there from Eusebio. Now you look at the space. And just as I say, look at the space, I should have been saying, look at the foot of Rafael Varane as he won that ball.
Game's becoming a little more rambunctious. Definitely feels like there's more room for error as well.
Feels a little bit like a Mike LaBelle house party at this point. Turns back, beautiful stuff from Neymar. Just had to stretch there, Cristiano Ronaldo. And now Marcuzo, 10 minutes left on the clock. What have you got? Can you pull something out of the bag? Here's Eusebio. One cricketer into Cristiano Ronaldo. The fake shot. Was it too much? You have to say yes.
And what Marcuzo's doing right now is he's using both his fullbacks as overlapping runs to give him additional width. So it's like he has a player open at all times.
Well, here's Marcuzo again. Another attack formulating, and Patrick Vieira steps in and does what he does best. Wins the ball back, relieves all of the pressure for NYC Chris, and a throw-in at this area of the pitch is huge, but Havertz wins it back.
I can't believe Chris threw that away. It's a throw-in, take your time.
Oh, Eusebio almost gets it. Ronaldo now, first time shot. Oh, can you believe it? Can you believe it?
No, I cannot believe it. We're another comeback. We're on the brink of extra time again.
Unbelievable. Breathtaking.
And it starts with that throw-in. What was he doing? Let the clock sink down. Wait till somebody's wide open. Put some pressure on your opposition.
Marcuzo needs to focus up though. Chris is inside the box. Oh, 9. Huge chance, corner. Ramos wins it. 90 minutes on the clock. And Marcuzo has the ball moving forward. Eusebio twisting, turning, trying to cast a spell, and it's a mistake from Chris, and we are going once again to extra time. Hold me, Mike.
We're hugging off camera, you can't see it. It's incredible, it's incredible. We see that swap into the 4-1-2-1-2 though from Marcuzo. Moment of the match, changes the energy, changes the vibe. We were just waiting for that clock to tick down beforehand. We weren't seeing any opportunities, weren't seeing any pressure. Chris was walking his dog. He was seeing this out no problem, doubling his money.
And you have to give huge credit to the composure, to the mentality of that man on your screen. To never say die, to have that attitude and send it to extra time. And now for Chris, I mean, you talk about mentality, what a flip-flopping mentality that is. All of a sudden you think, I'm going to the final, and then you've got 30 minutes more to play.
And you got to say, no one looks happy here. Marcuzo and August don't look happy about making this comeback. Maybe they feel like they should have done better in regular time before, well, not regular time, but maybe they should have done better before this late game narrative in the second leg. And then on Chris's end, of course, he just threw away a 2-goal spread.
And it was that one thing we were talking about. How many times can you make that last-ditch tackle? How many times can you stop that little skill move run inside the box to cricket or a scoop turn? And it was that one moment he did not stop it. And the momentum's all with Marcuzo.
Well, and the irony is, it wasn't the La Croqueta that beat him, it was Chris's mistakes, where he gave this game life. He gave it back to Marcuzo. He said, hey, welcome back to the game. Let's make this interesting.
Well, speaking of welcome back to the game, welcome back to the game. Extra time here in the first semi-final of the eChampions League. And Marcuzo with a last gasp. Goal to send it to extra time is coming forward. Havertz into Gullit, and Mbappe makes the interception. Chris can come away.
Something tells me it's Havertz time. Both players are using him. We've seen him as a super sub this year. Well, this tournament, we should say, where he has been dynamic, influential, maybe even the most valuable player for some of these guys.
Havertz takes a shot from distance, and it was almost like you saw the future. Unfortunately, it wasn't green, but Havertz has got another chance. He's on his left foot. And De Gea has to skip across to make the save. Corner here for Chris. Eusebio back to Sanchez. And of all players, it's Vieira taking a strike, and it will be another corner here to the American. Into the box. Finally, Marcuzo can breathe. Eusebio has got away from his man. Look at Cristiano Ronaldo. He's just shown too much of it to Sanchez.
What a challenge.
But Chris is just giving it away. Gets it back, luckily. And all of a sudden, this is end-to-end stuff.
And that shows you where Chris's mental game is at. You have to be confident to do that, to go for that slide tackle.
Oh, shot from distance there from Eusebio. It wasn't green again. And Chris has had chances. Marcuzo now. Steps forward. Neymar gets a little bit of a lucky break here. Havertz can't find the ball around the corner to Gullit, and you can really feel the nerves in this game now, Mike.
I've started sweating. Just throwing it out there. Just sharing.
The fourth official has indicated
Vieira for Marcuzo then.
2 minutes.
Stoppage time. End of the first half of extra time. Gullit makes the tackle.
And as the players on the pitch have gotten more fatigued, this is an open game. So much space to work with.
Gullit out wide here to Cristiano Ronaldo. The last chance of the game will be to NYC Chris. He's getting around the outside of Varane, but a great recovery tackle. Means that there's no goals to report in extra time. One more half. I'm not saying the word.
I know you're thinking about it. I was thinking about it myself.
I'm not saying it.
Okay. You guys at home might know the word.
Begins with P.
Yeah, starts with P.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, though, but you just feel there's going to be a chance here, Mike. You just feel there's going to be one more chance.
I believe in the late winner.
Back underway.
If you guys are just tuning in, you're tuning in at the right time. Extra time to decide everything in terms of these guys going home or doubling their money and staying alive and going to the finals.
Substitution here as well. Fresh legs at this point in the game is absolutely huge. Not sure who did make that change. We'll keep an eye on the players on the pitch and see if we can recognize it. NYC Chris wins the ball back, and it's Lionel Messi. And there's a chance going forward here. Varane has to win this. Havertz into Messi. Chris to Havertz.
Fuck me! Fuck this game!
And I think that says more than we could ever say, Mike. Marcuzo. Has been let off the hook here. But NYC Chris has won it back.
What a ball to Havertz.
Havertz is in again. Varane will get across. Tellez now into Gullit. You just feel there's going to be a chance here. You just feel someone could make themselves a hero here. Havertz, the heel to heel. Ronaldo. Corner ball. Neymar into Varane. Ruud Gullit. Cricketer one. Into Havertz again. Another cricketer, and Chris just smartly gets rid of the ball. Marcuzo wants this now. He feels like Chris is on the ropes. He's looking for that knockout blow. But Chris, he's rallied.
Chris needs to try to get the last attack here.
Marcelo. Can't find Ronaldo. 120 minutes on the clock, but Chris has won it back now. Vieira.
2 minutes of added time.
Can you focus? Can you create? Can you score a winner here, Chris?
I'm confused.
The answer is
not
not right.
penalty kicks.
It's not right now. We're just checking maybe some of the substitutions that have been made in this game, making sure it's all fair and above board. But I mean, what a period of extra time this has been, Mike. And we've been talking about, you know, tension, building drama. Just before we go to the spot, just before we go to penalty kicks, we have this.
Why don't we open a dispute?
So obviously we're waiting for the ruling from the referees here to find out exactly what the situation is in this game. Marcuzo, though, what a chance it was. He created that chance almost out of nothing.
And the same could be said for Chris, especially in the first half of extra time. It was all NYC Chris. We saw Havertz hit the post. We saw a great save from De Gea. We've seen many great saves from De Gea today.
I'm telling you what, this UCL, David De Gea, for me, has been performing better than the team of the year. To be honest with you, that we've seen in a lot of other tournaments. Some of the saves he's made have been absolutely exemplary. I mean, the one thing that this does give us, Mike, is a chance to catch our breath, because this game has quite simply been breathtaking.
We're going to close the game, starting at 5 minutes left.
And we're listening in just as intently as you guys who are watching at home. Might be for the ruling at the moment, and maybe it's this little mistake. This is concentration, this is pressure. This is what it does to you. Even something so simple as a substitution. Just that little moment, that little slip of the mind is what can affect the game, what can affect your mentality. And you can see Chris here. I think he realizes he's made a little mistake. I think it's a substitution mistake.
But Chris is the one who kicks the ball out. So maybe it's a substitution mistake on Marcuzo.
So just getting confirmation actually in my ear there, sorry Mike, that it is a substitution error, a little bit of miscommunication between Chris and himself about who was bringing on the pitch. So that game will be restarted from the point that that substitution was made. So we've only got a few moments left. And just a reminder that at all times in the format that we're playing at the moment with the squad rules that we have to have 3 icons at the pitch at the same time, 3 UCL foot items on the pitch at the same time. And I think he just took one player off and didn't put a UCL player on or something. I mean, in that kind of situation, it's so tough to do. It's so easy to do, isn't it, when you're going so formulaic with your substitutions?
And at different tournaments, you might have different squad rules. You forget about it. You've made habits online. It's not that you're necessarily trying to get a competitive advantage. You just make the sub off of instinct or make the change because that's what you've been doing. And before you know it, we're here with a pause, a reset.
I love the drama, though. I love the drama.
6 minutes on the clock. Why not? But tension is the best way to describe what we're dealing with. Yes, talk to me, please.
Who's going to win it? Who is going to be our first ever eChampions League finalist, Mike LaBelle?
We're going to penalties. It's going to be like a rock, paper, scissors situation.
That's not the question I asked.
I've seen Chris in penalties this year. They haven't really gone in his favor. Really putting me on the spot here. If it goes to penalties, I think Marcuzo has an edge. If Chris is able to nick something late, then of course.
Marcuzo then, finally managed to get out of you.
Yeah.
I'm going with Chris, man. I believe in my boy. That's what I'm saying. Chris is gonna. This is it. This is where he makes the final. This is it. This is his moment.
Well, his whole season's been building up to this. Exactly. We saw him in the finals in Bucharest last week. Manchester, obviously top 8 to get here. He's in the semifinals now, top 4.
Oh, of course, incredibly exciting stuff to come. Let's talk about the other semi-final that we have coming up as well, because, I mean, some of the players that we still have left in this tournament, it's absolutely unbelievable. Zizinho versus Dr. Nightwatch. I mean, those two involved in some crazy games earlier as well. Zizinho, we had the restart as well in that one, due to a very similar mistake that we've just seen here from Chris. So drama all the way through. And there's one thing we can guarantee. In the Champions League, we have drama. In the eChampions League, it's only right that we have a bit of drama as well, right? Let's have a little quote here from North Marcuzo. Getting inside his head a little bit. If I didn't think I had a chance to win, I wouldn't play. It's the best 8 players in the world. No matter what, it's going to be tough. And I think we've seen that perfectly in effect, Mike, so far this tournament.
Marcuzo's a confident guy. He doesn't need a hype man. It's good that he has a coach maybe to ground him at times with August. But in terms of believing or self-belief, Marcuzo's never been lacking.
The question is, can belief get you all the way?
It can get you through some results where maybe you don't deserve it. If you watch these first 2 legs, Chris had the majority of the play in terms of possession. He had the majority of solid chances. He even converted those chances. He was more clinical. However, the last 15, 20 minutes of leg number 2, we didn't see the same Chris.
That was all Marcuzo. And that opportunity towards the end, I mean, it could have gone either way. Such big chances at the end of that game. One for Chris, one for Marcuzo. We could have been done and dusted, essentially, at this point. But I believe that we got something else to show you this time about NYC Chris. And, you know, we heard from Marcuzo, and he, you know, NYC Chris coming out here and saying, beating Marcuzo and Lev in the earlier ECL rounds didn't give me any confidence because they want to get their revenge. They will try really hard to beat me. And I think, obviously, they're going to be trying as hard as possible to beat him. But right now, you have to wonder if one of these players is going to be beating themselves, making a mistake. Or is it going to be a moment of magic from someone? Just a few seconds left, Mike LaBelle. And I have to say the P word.
Are you going to say it, or are you just going to leave it there?
I'm waiting.
Okay. So we're going to get back into action. We've got an entire period of extra time left. Of course, we're all even on aggregate, 3-all. If it continues this way, what's going to happen, Mark? We're going to go to...
The spot.
The spot. No, we're going to be going to penalty kicks.
Oof, you said it.
That's fine. However, I still believe, and I think Mark believes the same, that we've got a late winner. We haven't seen penalty kicks today for a reason. If we're keeping the same theme, extra time, late winner.
At this stage in the tournament, with the spot in the finals on the line, with the money on the line, with everything that we've been talking about all day on the line. This period of extra time is absolutely enormous for both of these players.
Monumental. This is your make or break for the season for a lot of these guys. Even if you're one of the top players, this can give you everything you need for playoffs in terms of confidence, momentum, get you ready for the E-World Cup. Your bank account looks a lot bigger. It's going to increase drastically. Most likely drastically drastically.
Drastically for most people, especially for me. Anyway, back into this game then. Full period of extra time.
A healthy increase.
And it is going to be NYC Chris with a free kick here. Marcelo takes this one short to Mbappe. If you're just joining us, you can see the aggregate score here, tied up at 3-3. And a goal at this point in the game would completely change things! NYC Chris just never says die!
And once again, lovely build-up play. Finds the intricate passes. Hits the man in the box. You can't miss from there. Neymar on the near post. Can he see it out?
That is the question. Can he see it out? Marcuzo, pressure back on you. Time to work with. Has possession from the restart as well. And with what a crazy, crazy tournament this has been so far.
Number 10.
You just know there's going to be a chance. It's a case of if Marcuzo can take it.
You got to say Chris deserves it, but that's just not how FIFA works. It's not about how many chances you make, it's about converting those opportunities.
Neymar inside the box, a couple of croquettes almost got him just a glimpse of space to get a shot away, but Chris defends it well again. And now you're going to see the chance to counter-attack here for Chris.
A lot of space to work with.
Gets the ball to Mbappe, but the linesman's flag goes up.
A risky step there from Marcuzo. Acres of space. Just wasn't able to check back in time.
Around 6 minutes for NYC Chris to silence the doubters, to get to that final. To be in with a shot of lifting that trophy. Here in Madrid, is there another twist in the tail? R9, speaking of twists, gets away from his man, Havertz!
What is going on today? Every game, every matchup. It's never over. What a finish. Good decision making there from Marcuzo. Chris is thinking that he's going to open up his body with Havertz, go the other direction, and we see that man again.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. We go again. 118 minutes on the clock. Penalties looming on the horizon. NYC Chris. Have you got some magic? Oh! The answer was so nearly yes.
That was close. Woo. Marcuzo, I get the last attack here.
The referee has indicated there will be a minimum
stoppage time.
2 minutes added time.
Not in stoppage time.
Havertz, the goal scorer, the game changer. Goes around the outside of Marcelo. Ronaldo, Vieira, it's do or die now. Vieira steps in and we are going to the penalty spot. First penalty, Marcuzo steps up. Saved by Chris. Can he take the lead there? Neymar versus De Gea. And he does.
I hate that Neymar run up. Marcuzo. And he converts. Can Chris go 2 for 2? And he does indeed. Keeps the lead.
1 goal advantage here in the penalty shootout. Neymar steps up here for he goes down the middle. No! You hate to see it go this way. 2 saves for Chris. A chance to go up by 2, and he takes it. Marcuzo needs to score. He has to score, and he does score. And now the pressure on Marcuzo. Needs to make a save. Ronaldo, De Gea, and Chris has done it. Unbelievable semi-final here in Madrid. It was settled from the spot. And NYC Chris